Please welcome my friend Jason.
Hey guys, my name's Jason. I'm a real alcoholic.
Jason.
Some of you know me, some of you don't. This is the place where I found recovery. Jay, you didn't know this, but I'm a Salvation Army alumni. This is where it first started for me. And so this place has such a special place in my heart. You know, when I did the intake, it was, this guy Bruce was doing it. And I'm sitting there, and IPS had to drag me through that door with a hook through my nose. I mean, kicking and screaming. And he was telling me, you know, you can stay here for 6 months, then you can graduate, and you can stay longer and get a job. And I'm looking at this guy like, dude, why would I want to stay longer than 6 months? You know, and I stayed 10 and a half, right? Because the miracle happened. I did the work, and the results were, they just showed themselves, you know, as they show themselves with all the guys that do this deal. So I got a little time, right, till 8. So I'll go a little into my background where, you know, a lot of my story has me being a victim, right, which I thought I was. And so I was a homeschool kid, right? I've been to school, public school, probably 3 days out of my life. I went to high school, but I was so far behind and so ashamed that I stopped going. I just stopped going because I was so different from you guys. I was so different from everybody in the world. And I just felt like my skin didn't feel right. It was miserable to be me, you know, and it was really hard to take off that unique card when I walked into these rooms. You know, because like I grew up on this side of the fence, and you guys were on the other side in school. You know what I mean? Everybody from my neighborhood, I was the only homeschool kid, you know what I mean? And so I was convinced I was different. I was convinced you didn't know what it was like to be me. I was convinced that you got dealt a better hand than me. And I had a reason for why I screwed up, for my life, the way my life was, you know what I mean? It was all crap. That was all crap, man. I learned through doing this process, and so I just try to fit in where I could, you know what I mean? And drugs and alcohol, you don't got to be a smart guy to do that, you know what I'm saying? And I've always been a sociable guy, right? I've always, I guess I just kind of noticed that from a young age, and I just kind of held on to that. Like that was my one strength to where like you guys wouldn't know I'm such a weirdo, or that I don't have an education. You know what I mean? I can at least fit in there. I can get drunk, I can smoke some weed, I can do this, I can do that, and I can fit in. And but still, man, even with a bunch of friends, even with, you know what I mean, it was always like, if only they knew who I really was, you guys wouldn't like me. You guys would judge me. You know, and it's just a horrible way to live, and I don't live that way anymore. I don't live that way anymore because I did the 12 steps and I had a spiritual awakening. And I'll get more into that, but so it just, you know, for so many, you know, I don't really like to get into the war stuff. I just want to qualify real quick. It starts small, you know, and the book talks about there was a time, though we couldn't prove it, maybe there was a time where we could stop, like we still had that choice on whether or not I was going to drink or use again. But eventually I crossed the line to where that was out of my hands, right? Because if you're anything like me, the real alcoholic that the book talks about, going back out again really isn't my call. You see what I'm saying? That's a game changer. That's a huge game changer once someone realizes that, right? Because before I realized that, I'm sitting in the detoxes and I'm like, oh, well, I just need to want to stop enough. I just got to want it hard enough. And I can stay stopped. Or you know what? I just, you know, I'm going to have one of those stories, man. I'm being one of those tough convicts to where it's like, you know, one day I just woke up and, you know, I said I was better than that. I knew I was better than that. Or I would go through some type of pain to where, you know what, I'd be like, you know what, I'm not going to pick that up because I know where that life leads. Guys, for someone like me, that pain does not exist. It doesn't matter how bad it gets for somebody like me. I can't stop. And rewinding a little bit, we got into, harder drugs, experimenting, and I'm 17 years old, and I'm a full-blown heroin addict. You know what I mean? And I catch cases when I'm a young kid, because, being on drugs, you have to supply money, and, I didn't want to get a job, so we did criminal activity, and so I caught cases. I ended up being locked up till I was 18. Which wasn't long at all. It was a quick couple months. And it's so funny though, because I remember sitting in there and sitting in all these detoxes and thinking like, this is it, right? This is enough. This is when I know it's enough, because I know where it takes me. And that's when I believed the lie that I could just go through something bad enough, and then I'd be like, oh, I'm good now. And unfortunately, it's just not that way. And I get out, and I'm high in a week, right? My whole family is happy for me. They're all like, look at Jason, like, he's clean, he's sober, he put on some weight, he's got his color back, right? Like most of our families do when we get locked up or we come back from an institution. And what? I screw it up. Within a week, I screw it up. You know what I mean? And it just goes on, man. It goes on, 15 more detoxes. And just arrest. And I caught a pretty serious case. I caught a class 2. I had to go. I did about 8 months, somewhere around there, 8 months in county. And at this time, and when I'm getting locked up, right, and going to these, I want to stop. Like I'm burnt. Like if you're sitting right here, the party's done. That's it. No more fun, guys. That's just what it is, and what people like us can't have fun no more out there, especially if you're sitting in this room. That's a fact. And I'm in jail every time, and I'm like, I really believe I'm gonna stop. I'm convinced, and just the whole mindset going through there and talking to my parents, and they're like, okay, well, now I'm like, you know what, before in juvie I had 2 months, now I have 8 months, so now I got enough time. I had some time to chill out, think about it, and now I'm going to do good. And again, I'm high in a week. And so I'm back, I go back on a run for like 4.5 months. And it's funny because there's 9 kids out of my family. 5 of us shoot dope. 2 of us are clean. We've had spiritual weight, so it's a miracle. And I got to go back in, right? My PO's like, you got to go back for 30 days. And I'm the type of guy, I'm not a runner. I'll just go do my time, man. I don't want to make it worse. When I went to juvie, I was actually dope sick off heroin. And I turned myself in, which was a very hard thing to do. I don't know if anybody can relate to that, but it's not an easy thing. Anyway, my family's kind of looking at me the day of court, and they're like, are you going? Because they know I'm hooked, right? Like my parents, I've asked them, at that point I had gotten real with my parents, and when they'd be like, you got to go, you know what I mean? And I'd be like, can I just wait? I'm gonna turn myself in, and I'm not gonna cause any problems. Anyway, I go back in, and the judge is like, the lawyer, I'm so out of it. My defender's like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, man, I'm fine. I'm like, I hardly remember the day. And the judge is like, everybody wants 30 days. My lawyer's like, 30 days? I'm like, cool, I get in and out. And the judge is like, everybody wants the least amount of time. And I look at him like, you gotta be kidding me. I'm like, why would I not want the least amount? I got smart with him, and I got 6 months. And I was just, man. And I can remember, and at this point, I'm sick. I hate drugs at this point, man. Like I said, the party's over, and I'm sitting next to this guy, and I'm like, yeah, man, I just did 8 months, and now I got to do another 6. And he's like, that's gangster. I remember looking at him like, bro, this is not gangster. This is not gangster. We are in jail calling our mommies to put money in our books or manipulating that's not gangster. This is not cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, And so, but it's still with that mentality, right, of not wanting to go there, of not thinking that's the life I want or that's cool. I still can't stop ending up in those places. And now it's starting to get serious because I caught the 2, did 8 months on that, and then caught the violation. I got 6 on that, and now I'm on IPS, right? And I got alpha. They said 60%. Succeeded. The judge was saying something, I don't know, but everybody that was with me in that class is high today that I know of, that I was still in contact. We all got high together when we got out. That's just my experience. I'm not saying that's every time, but that was just my experience. My buddy's actually trying to see my buddy in Florence right now, but anyway, we go to the alpha program, and it's cool, man. Like, there's no politics. We're all just kicking back, chilling. And I'm getting out 36 days early, right? But there's starting to be homework, and I can't adapt. I'm a little ahead in education than I was then, but at that point I couldn't read or write like worth anything. You know what I mean? Like, I really struggled. Like, when I was a kid, I did not do, like, the best way to sum it up, I did not do school. Like, I just didn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just did not. That's the best way I can come up with it. And I'm rolling myself up because I'm so ashamed. The book talks about being fear-driven. I made that choice out of fear. It wasn't out of looking at the scenario and being like, you know what, this is probably the best choice for me. Because the best choice for me was probably just to chill out, do the homework they had said, and get out a month and 6 days early. But instead of that, I'm so fear-driven. Fear's got such a hold of me that I do 36 more days for nothing. For nothing, for the fear of you finding out who I really am. You know what I mean? And my buddy's there, and he knows. I had told him, I got honest with him, and it was like, because everybody's like, why are you going? Why? Right? I just roll up out of nowhere. And they're like, why? My buddy's like, why are you doing it? And I took him aside and I actually told him the truth. That's the one in Florence right now. But I remember sitting at, they got the little video things now. You know what I mean? They don't do the visits anymore, person. And I'm sitting there, and I got my arms like this. I'll never forget it. And he's like, dude, I just feel like you're going to have a better chance of not relapsing, if you do this program. And I looked at him, I'm like, dude, I'm never using again. I'm never using again. You've got to be kidding me. Why on earth would I ever use again? To come back here, and he's done like 2 years in county. I'm over a year now in county in a matter of so many months. I'm just like, I'm never going back. And fully, like, everything in me, and I'm like, I'm on IPS, and I was on IPS, and you know what I mean? I thought that was enough. And so I roll myself up. I do the rest of my time intense. I spent 2 winters there. From like 15, 16, I spent those 2 winters there. And before they closed it, it's closed down now, right? Or something? Yeah, okay. So before it closed, I was there and got out again, right? And it's like, okay, here we go, right? And I'm convinced, once again, I'm going to stay stopped. And my IPS officer saw me, you know what I'm saying, and he's just telling me the rundown, you know what I mean? And at this point, I don't even have an ID. Like, I couldn't even prove, when I went to try to go get my ID when I got out to go drug test, I couldn't even prove I existed. Like, that's how sheltered away from the world I was by my parents. And they were sick people too, and it's all, it's done and over with, you know what I mean? It's no resentment there anymore. And I can't even get an ID, man. I can't even get an ID. This is how far out of reality I was from the world, right? I didn't grow up as a teenager like, you know what, let's go make some money, get some good-looking girls, and have a good time, right? It was like, no, let's go get some hard drugs in a bathroom and just sit there. You know what I mean? It was a miserable existence, and it took me like 4 weeks to get an ID. I'm not even kidding. Like, they had to bring in the parole guys from the office and my IPS officer, they never seen a case like this. So now I'm really unique in my head. You know what I'm saying? These guys are doing it 25 years, and they're like, I've never seen anything like this. So now it's just my self-pity is just everywhere. Anyway, I get it, and I start testing, and I'm good, you know, because I don't want to go to prison, I don't want to use drugs, and I'm living in a house with 3 other people shooting dope every day. You know what I mean? And I did that for 4.5 months. I lasted, you know what I mean, doing that. So that's 10.5, 6 plus 4.5, 10.5 dry, right? But the whole time I'm just so miserable, man. It sucks being like restless, irritable, and discontent and uncomfortable in your skin when you're high, but it's so much more when you're sober. You know what I'm saying? It really is, man. And I get in a relationship around, I was actually thinking about this today. I have a fiance today, I'm not with that girl today, but the girl I was with at the time, we would do like a weekend thing, like we just go get a motel and just stay the weekend and, you know, do what we did. And I would work, I had a little job from a temp agency, I wasn't making much, man, but I was sober, right? And I was like actually doing fun stuff. You know what I mean? I was still like a mess inside, but I could tell, like, you know what? This is better than that. It's a whole lot better than that. Even if I got money in my pocket when I'm doing running and gunning, it's just never fun. You know, and the second that relationship ends, I'm out. I'm running. Let's go. Now I got a reason, you know. And that goes on, man. I'm on IPS. Okay, these guys, they're not really playing. And I ran amok on IPS for a year. I don't know if anybody has been on IPS or what. I saw my PO every single week. It's not once a month, it's every week for a whole year. Okay, it was an anxiety attack every time I walked in that office. I'm like, this is it. You know what I mean? They call you to the last room on the left. It's like, oh. And it never happened. I don't know, it never happened. God really watched out for me. And I could stay stuck, man. I would get sober. I'd go to Detox on IPS. I'd tell my PO I screwed up. He'd shoot me over to Detox, and I'd get out, and I could stay stop for a little bit, right? I could put together a month, couple weeks, couple months, you know what I mean? But eventually, I'm gonna get up and running, you know what I mean? And I couldn't understand why before my sponsor told me that it wasn't a choice for me anymore, that like I was gonna get high like no matter what I did. You know what I mean? Based on my own power, based on circumstance, based on like what life looks like. That's not the problem. The problem is I have an obsession in my mind that can't be removed by human power. You know what I'm saying? And I had no idea what I was up against. You know what I mean? That's why I love this book so much. It really put it into perspective. And so I would, you know, get out of Detox and go 2 months, but slip up. Like out of nowhere, you know, they talk about that obsession would just creep up. And I would have to go get high. I would just have to go get high. You know, and even though I'm facing years in prison, right, I have a class 2 felony, like today on my record. And during that time, being on IPS, like, there's not really many rooms for slip-ups, right? It's really, and they're a ballpark of what they want to do if you slip up. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, a normal person would be like, you know what? Like, I can't go use heroin because I'm on IPS, okay, probation, and if I get caught, I can do years in prison, right? Isn't that what a sane person would think? But I don't think that way, man, because I don't, there's something in me that's driving me to do something I don't want to do, right? But at the time, I didn't even realize it, because I didn't, that spiritual awakening hadn't happened yet, right? They talk about the new eyes you get in recovery. I didn't see stuff the way I do now, the way I did then. You know what I mean? And it all happened during that process of doing the steps. And you know, I had like 20 write-ups on IPS. Me and my IPS officer at the time, his name was Brandon K. We went in probably 13 months, and I got to the point where my parents were telling it. We became like friends. Me and my IPS officer. He really liked me. He was like, dude, you're a good kid, man. Like, I want to see you do good. Like, you're not, that life isn't you. You know what I'm saying? And we became friends and got on a more personal level. And to where my parents would tell him, you need to violate him. My son's going to kill himself. And like he didn't. Like he just couldn't send me, so he switched me. Like it just got too, he got too involved. Like he would sit down with me and talk with me and be like, listen, I'm not your IPS officer right now. I'm an older guy talking to a younger guy. And he would talk with me for like 45 minutes. You know what I mean? Really trying to just get me to stop. You know what I mean? And I wasn't rejecting his advice. I mean, sometimes I would, if I get caught off schedule. Like if you're at Jack in the Box, you got to tell them I'm going to be at Jack in the Box from 7 p.m. to 7:30, then I'm going to be back home, right? Well, I would get caught off schedule sometimes, and like I remember one time I'm at the movies with my girlfriend, and I'm like, well, I'm not doing anything, I'm a victim here, you know. But like the rule is, like I had to be home, right? That's just the rule. That's just, I put myself in that situation. I broke the law. That's my fault. I need to just do what I need to do, right? You know, it doesn't, and then he comes by, and I'm not at home, right? I'm at the park, and this is the second time he's been by, and one day I haven't been home, you know, and so he's like, you're getting a warrant if you do not come in tomorrow. So he's telling me this, and I'm like, well, Brandon, I was right down the street at the park. I wasn't doing anything. I'm telling him how I'm this victim, and he's like, Jason, that doesn't matter. Like, you're on IPS. That's it. You know what I mean? You know, but I couldn't wrap my head around it. I couldn't wrap my head around it. It's like, oh, well, poor me. I'm trying to do good, and you're here picking on me. You see what I'm saying? Like, my part to, like, not have that stuff happen, I should have just never been on IPS. See what I'm saying? When the police are behind me, I'm not tripping because I don't have anything on me, right? The most they're going to do to me is probably give me a ticket, right? And whether that's unfair or not, I'll chalk it up to I'm living life a lot better than what I was. You know, and that cop who might be picking on me or like worst case scenario being somebody that's abusing their authority, I'm going to be like, you know what? He's not going to ruin my day. My life's too good. You know, it's just it's a lot. It's so many blessings, and so he switches us, and I never forget it. I was on one. I was up for work, and it's like 4 a.m. and it's like boom, like those IPS, they don't play games, man. They really hit the door like harder than cops. And like it's 3 in the morning, if you don't answer that door, they can violate you. Like legally, they have that power. Like IPS is like it's welcome to the big leagues of probation, you know. And it's so loud, and it's like 4 in the morning, and it happened when the door is right there. I'm walking by, right? I got my work stuff on. I gotta be at work like 7 or something, and I'm like, did that just happen? I'm looking at the door, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, and I open the door, and he's like, hey, what's up, man? This is the second day this is the new guy. He's like, nothing, I'm just checking up on you. How you doing? I was like, fine. I'm like, just, you know, not looking good. Anyway, I knew the gig was up. And from that day, I was like, this guy's gonna get me, right? So I was able to, I think I had like, dude, talk about manipulation, dude. I'm in every way, shape, form. Finally, it was like 3 months. This is what did it. My sister was wanted for assault on a police, aggravated assault on a police officer. They were watching our house. I show up at the probation office. They block it off, guns blazing, and I'm late. My PO comes down. He's like, "What the heck are you doing?" You know what I mean? And I still didn't go for whatever reason. I mean, I didn't have anything. I wasn't doing anything, but you know, just the experiences that happened that I made it out of, it just blows my mind. You know, and from that point on, he was like, the kid's up, you're going, Salvation Army, right? Brandon K, I still have his number. He came to my graduation when he wasn't my PO anymore. I still talk to him today, you know, keep in contact. It's pretty cool. And he told me about the Salvation Army, you know, and I had a childhood friend, he got sober here too, and but he was the first one to plant that seed in me. And he was like, so I mentioned it to the new guy, like, you know, this is my fallback. I go to the Sally, I'll be good. Well, I knew it as the Salvation Army, not the Sally at that time. And A week goes by and I don't go, and he's like, listen, that's it. Like, you're going in a week or you're violated. Done, right? It's up. And I called and at that time I was sure I was going, but I was sure I was going every time. And I called my sister, right? Because I had no problem with God walking into this program, you know. I think most people don't. I called my sister and I got subs at the spot, at my folks' spot, and I'm like, I just can't believe what gift, second chance God's given me, and I'm just not gonna screw it up, right? Fully heartedly, like wanting to change, but I can't do it, right? I just can't do it. I can't stop. It's like, well, if you can stop, what are you doing here? Right? If it's just a choice, what are you guys doing here? I mean, just keep it real, right? I wouldn't sit here if all it took was like, if it was just a choice, I wouldn't sit here with lanyards. I wouldn't have spent here 10.5 months. What person, you know what I mean? Just from that's just how I look at it as. And I literally cannot stop. And I'm like 3 days from when I gotta be here. I gotta get clean, piss clean here, and it's like 3 days. I'm like, time's up, you know. I haven't even taken the sub, and my little sister is, I wake her up, and I'm like, hey, call dude. She's like, Jason, please, can we just get clean? She's like, please, I don't want to do that no more. You know what I mean? She's sincere, and it sucks because she's out right now. But at that moment, she was like, Jason, please, I don't want to do that. You know, and I forced her. I just get real. I forced her to do it. Well, you guys think I was a good guy out there? Not me. I'm a piece of crap out there. See, I try to hold on till I was a good person when I was out there. Like, oh, I mean well, I just got a problem. No, I was a piece of crap. Let's get real. Cut the crap. You know what I'm saying? The recovery doesn't start until you get real. I forced her to call dude, and I got her in the truck. And 20 minutes later, after I forced her to call dude, I'm screaming at her, hitting my dad's truck steering wheel, yelling at her, screaming at the top of my lungs, why can't I stop? 20 minutes before I'm forcing her, she's begging me to get sober and just take the subs. And 20 minutes after, I'm the reason we're going. And I'm telling her, why can't I stop? What person in their right mind would trade 1 week of getting high and using for 3 years in prison? And that was like that true moment of powerlessness. You know what I'm saying? That's when I didn't know, I didn't have any of the book's knowledge. I didn't know what I was dealing with, but that was when it really started to hit me like, I don't know what I'm dealing with, and I have no idea how to stay sober. That's when it really hit me. Because no matter what I did, right? Because it's like, dude, guys, they talk about our best ideas, guy. Like, for me, it's like, I don't know about anybody here, but when I was out there, like, I really tried. Like, with everything I had, I tried, man. The best I could do was Salvation Army. That's it. Right? I didn't choose it. I didn't come in here. You know what, Mom and Dad? I'm doing so good in life. I'm just going to go to the Salvation Army 15 East Pima, just to go on a vacation. Because I'm just that much of a winner. You know what I'm saying? And I came here because I didn't know what I was doing. That's what I'm trying to say. I didn't know what I was doing. I might have wanted to stay sober. I didn't know how to stay sober. Okay? I learned from other men how to do that. You know, I listened to their experiences. You know, and I went to the Detox, and they know my whole family. They know my whole family, the Detox Center. I've escaped there once. I've been there 13 times. Taken H&I there, like Jay was talking about what we do to stay sober. And I've escaped from there. Okay, climbed the 30-foot fence. And this is the type of guy I am, right? I'm a quarter mile from my house, and socks, withdrawing, 48 hours in. I stop a family van. I tell them, kids in the back and everything. I'm like, listen, I can't tell you what's going on, but there's a family emergency and you have to drive me a quarter mile down the road. And they did. That's who I am, guys. I'm a type of drug, they tell me, I never forget, my boy's like, bro, I got hep C. I'm like, I'm dope sick. I didn't ask you if you had hep C. You know what I mean? I need to get high. They talk about bottoms. There's no bottoms I won't reach. You know what I mean? Give me enough time, I'll get there. I don't care what you've done. I'm not going to sit there and be like, if you told me a fifth step and judge you, I would have got there, who knows, 1 year, 5 years, 10, it doesn't matter. Right? It only gets worse. I can't sit here and talk about, well, you know what, I never got there, so I'm better than you. It's like, that's dangerous talk, especially for somebody who knows better. The guy would be like, okay, go ahead. You want to do that? Talk about my children like that? And anyway, I'm in detox, and the probation officer comes and he's like, why'd you do that? Why didn't you go? And I'm like, dude, I don't know. Like, I honestly don't, right? It's like when our parents and our loved ones or our girlfriends or our kids are like, daddy or whatever, like, why do you keep doing that? It's like we sit there and we look at them and what do we say? Sometimes we don't even got an answer for them. Because I didn't know I didn't have a choice in the matter. I didn't know, like, right? That seems like a hard thing to understand. But the way my sponsor explained it to me, because it's like, wait, what you're saying that's a drink of beer, I don't have a choice on whether or not I pick it up, and it's like somebody may fight that, but the best way my sponsor put it, Jason, no matter what you do you always feel like you go back to your thing in some way, shape, or form? Somehow you get up and running. Maybe you can stop for a little bit, but no matter how much destruction you know about, like, you just always end up back there? Yeah, I do. I was like, you know what? I don't have a choice in the matter. You know? I just don't. It's just, I know that from my personal experience. I wasn't brainwashed. I wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, I just looked at my experience and I was like, you know what? That is me. Like, if I got honest with myself. You know what I mean? And I started doing the steps. I got with my sponsor. And I'd been in the program before. It was NA, another fellowship. It's just another fellowship, man. I don't do it anymore. I'm not trying to judge, but you know what I mean. I just like straight shooters, man. I found that a lot in AA. Straight shooters tell me the truth. Stop beating around the bush, man. If I got a problem, give me a solution. Let's get to work. You know what I'm saying? There's no problem that can't be solved with God. That's a fact, not an opinion. And I've seen people stay sober through deaths. Somebody who had a son who his son was killed in a home invasion. These guys stayed sober because they were doing a deal, right? And I remember in this other fellowship, they would talk about how they didn't know how these guys who had 25 years would go out. You know what I mean? They were scratching their heads. And it's like, today, like, it's like, well, yeah, I know. They stopped doing it. People that do this deal stay sober. There's no reason. Like, where's my buddy's reason whose son got killed in a home invasion, right? One day, got a phone call, hey, your son's dead. What's his excuse? The people who lose their loved ones. What's their excuse? You know what I'm saying? My experience is the people that have been doing this thing, that are active, that take action in the recovery, stay stopped. They stay sober, no matter what. No matter what they go through. I'm not saying it's not a painful process when my mom's going to pass or my dad. It's going to be grieving, but I can get through it. You see what I'm saying? And it's like, what, guys? Do you think I wake up in the morning and I take my 2-year sobriety chip, flip it, and hope it lands on sober? You know what I'm saying? That's not how it works. Is that how it works? Let me check. Let me double check. You know what I mean? That's not how it works, man. You just do it. Let God do the rest. And that's just been my experience. People who get disconnected go back out, so I stay connected. And when I get disconnected and I feel untreated alcoholism, because I've experienced untreated alcoholism, I notice when I start doing the deal again, I get better. You know what I mean? And it just works that way every time. You know, and so it's a solution I can count on 100% of the time to work. You know what I mean? I remember, like, I know a lot of people, this might not be a popular opinion, but at least it's my experience, right? I'm not going to take everybody, it's just my experience, right? And so I shared, and I remember my sponsor, I met up with him, and I was like, dude, I just don't want to hear just for today, man. I was like, I don't want to hear that. I was like, is there a way to stay sober, like, for a long time? I remember my sponsor, he's like, Jason, you ain't never gotta get high again. If you do it, you know what I mean? And that brought, like, comfort. That brought, like, I remember, I went, like, you serious? You know what I mean? And I'll never forget it. I said this at the stag. I made him promise me 6 things. I was on the phone with him, and I'm like, listen, man, you got to tell me if you can help me. And he was like, Jason, I can. And I was like, you need to promise me 6 things. One was to forgive myself, forgive others, love myself, love others, stop getting high, and I was going to live an unimaginably happy life. And he promised me that. And guys, that's a big promise. You know what I'm saying? I said an unimaginably happy life. You have to promise me that. And he did. And I'm like, I'm sold. I'm so sold. Once I do these 12 steps, I'm going to have a spiritual awakening to the God of my understanding, which me and my sponsor shared something else, right? But we were open about it, and we just let each other be where we were. You know what I'm saying? And I remember walking around with my 4-step upstairs, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I wrote a 2-notebook 4-step and an 18-hour 5th-step. Why? Because my life depended on this thing, and I fully believed my sponsor when he told me that. And he told me the more I did, he would meet me halfway, and he said the more I did, the more I would get connected to God, the better chance I had at staying sober. So I put everything into it. Because my life's worth a 2-notebook 4-step and an 18-hour 5th-step. Believe that. I'm not saying everybody has to do a step that big. Like, I know guys who did an hour 5th and they're sober, and it's just my experience. You know what I mean? But my sponsor met me halfway, and it meant a lot. This guy took 4 sessions to do that. And I told that guy every secret real quick. I'm the only one with secrets in here, right? I know I'm unique. Only one who's done something strange. Right? I would call them the if only they knew. You know what I'm saying? Even if I was laying with my lady, those thoughts, this isn't like a everyday thing. It's not like, but every now and then, like, those thoughts would come in. If only she knew. She wouldn't be with you. You're a weirdo. You're a loser, bro. You know? And I know it. And I'm telling myself this in my head. You know, and it's just not that way anymore. I've come to terms with the demons of my past. Me and my sponsor have come to an understanding about the bad things I've done in my life, about the bad things that have happened to me, and about the people that did them to me. You see what I'm saying? And I've given that all away. And I let God deal with that. You know what I mean? Because if I was God, I'd be an unjust God. You know, He's perfect, and He's beyond my comprehension. So that's His business, not mine. I'm just here trying to help people and do the best I can. And you know, I'll never forget it after I did that. After I told them, like, the real stuff, right? Because it's like, you know, some of us have some really dark stuff, and I do. You know what I mean? And I'd be like, I tell them this, but I'm not going to tell them that. That one's coming. That one's coming with me. No one's going to know that one. You know what I'm saying? And just the fear of him judging me just overtook me. And I truly I believed this man that had been honest with me. And it trips me out how some, like, sponsees never asked me, like, right, like, straight up, like, hey, does this work? Right? Does this work? And when my sponsor, like, promised me that and got real with me, it finally clicked. Like, these guys that come and do this, guys, this is not a hobby. This is a way of living. You know what I mean? This isn't like, oh, I'm going to go to the... And these guys don't get paid. They do this stuff. They go to the prisons. They do this service work on the dime of it costs them money to do it. Right? Nobody put gas in my tank to come here and do this. Right? I got a beautiful woman at home and a newborn child at home right now. But she knows God's got a calling for me that I have to show up to. I have to put my selfish desires away, and God's got my kid and my lady in a nice warm apartment, and they're taken care of right now. You know what I mean? And God's truly blessed me. And she knows that He's not enough. Right? Because, like for those who have kids, like, what are you doing here if they're enough? It's just an honest question to ask oneself, right? I'm not dogging anybody, putting anybody down, but it's a question that needs answering, I think. You know, and I get to these podiums and I speak, and sometimes it may not be the most popular opinion, but guys, I got to leave your opinion outside at that door if I'm going to make an impact of a message. I can't be sitting here hoping I don't hurt somebody's feelings. Or I got to worry about what God's thinking of me right now. You know, and I just, I speak at these meetings, and people look at me sometimes, and it's like, well, how does this guy get so passionate? I look right back, and it's like, how can't I? I've recovered from a hopeless state, mind and body, from a homeless heroin addict sticking needles in my arm to this, and you want me to be quiet about it? Are you kidding me? Guys, I'm a hopeless doping junkie. Okay, that's no good, that wore no shoelaces for years, wore the same clothes for 3 months, who owns a business today, landscaping business. I still stand here, a 7th grade education. Still today, ask me how to spell impossible, I couldn't tell you. I couldn't. God makes a way when there is no way. See what I'm saying? He took me and was like, you know what? All that other stuff you think you can't do, you can do with me. And I'm going to show you. And guys, I could go and talk about all the God shots and everything, and it would just, I could go on for 2 days, man. I honestly could, and I remember, I'll end with this. This was I was real prejudiced when I came into this program, guys. I really was. I was better than you because I believed in something else. I was raised in the church, and when I first came into the program, my sponsor was a Jew. You know what I mean? And my sponsor who took me through the 12 steps was a Jew too. You know what I mean? And I'm a Christian. My God's Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? And that may not be a popular opinion or God, but I don't deny my faith. And the day I have to deny my faith is the day I stop doing AA. But I tell you what was something that was so key to my recovery is I was open with that man, and he was open with me, and we didn't judge each other. We didn't look at each other different. He let me be where I was. I let him be where he was. And my parents still can't believe it. They're like, he's like my best friend. Are you best friends with a Jew? Like, yeah. Yeah. But, you know what I'm saying? And it was like, man, it was like we had such differences, but like we're so close. You know what I'm saying? Because we were focusing on those similarities, and we were just not judging each other. And today I know if I'm judging somebody, looking down, I'm wrong. Like, end of statement, I'm wrong. Right? That's God's business. You know what I mean? And it was just a really cool experience. I can remember letting go of that prejudiceness, letting go of looking at all those differences and being like, you know what, let's see what we got in common, you know what I mean? And our relationship, man, that guy's gonna be my best man at my wedding. He means so much to me. Like, so much, my sponsor. I don't know if you know him, we'll talk after, but just what an experience, man. You know what I'm saying, guys? And I just hope you grab hold of this. I hope you do these 12 steps and not just go to meetings, because it's the steps, right, where I get connected to God. The fellowship is important, it's a part of it, but it's not the end, right? For me, the juice is getting close to God and doing the steps, okay? Then coming back here and sharing my experience, strength, and hope to somebody who may not know how to get sober. Who's somebody who may be like me, may come from a different walk of life, but my sponsor, Groot, he's a lawyer, right? He is so smart, book smart, and like I'm like the homeschooled street kid, 7th grade education. Like I think God's just kind of ironic. I don't know if he has a sense of humor, but I think he's kind of ironic, you know. And I'm just grateful to be here. Jay, thanks for having me speak. I love the Salvation Army. You guys are probably in the best rehab in the state. With that, I'll pass.